You ever heard the stories about those urban explorers that got hunted in those old, abandoned subway tunnels under New York City? The ones they don't mark on any maps. They're like over 100 years old.
I think so. Like years ago, wasn't that place debunked?
Well, here's the thing. Most people think they're just old, unused routes. But there's this one story, a story that never made it to the news. It's been buried deep, and I mean real deep. A few urban explorers decided to check out one of these forgotten stations that's been closed off for decades, and, well, let's just say they found way more than they bargained for.
You're saying a bunch of thrill seekers stumbled into something down there and the whole thing got covered up? By who? The city? The cops?
So, these guys had heard rumors about this old station, closed since the 30s, buried under miles of concrete. They say if you know where to look, there's still a way in. You just gotta time it perfectly. They waited in this active subway tunnel, counting the seconds between trains, their hearts pounding. They finally get this narrow window to run down the tracks, and when I say narrow, I mean they've got less than 2 minutes before the next train comes barreling through. They sprint down that tunnel, staying low, adrenaline running high, and then they see it, this old, bricked-up section of wall. It's patched up like someone was trying to keep something in, or maybe keep people out. They rip the boards down, bricks crumbling, and they slip through. Inside, it's like stepping into another world, a dead station, frozen in time, forgotten by everyone above ground. A time capsule of rusted metal and dust. This place is filled with old trains still sitting on dead tracks, covered in rust, graffiti from God knows how many years ago. But it's not the trains that get to them, it's the walls. They're covered in deep, jagged claw marks, like something out of a nightmare, and they find piles of shredded clothing. Not just one or two, but like a dozen. Shoes, jackets, stuff torn apart, blood-stained. No bodies, though, just the aftermath. Then they hear it. The scratching, faint at first, like nails on stone. It's echoing from somewhere deeper in the tunnel. They turn their flashlights toward the sound, and that's when they see it. A shape, barely human, clinging to the ceiling. Its limbs way too long, its fingers like claws digging into the concrete, and its eyes, those eyes catch the light and reflect it back like an animal's, only worse, because they're staring right at you like they know you're there. One of the guys freezes, and in that heartbeat the creature drops. It hits the ground with this unnatural thud, and before anyone can react, it's already on top of him. It grabs him, yanks him into the dark. No scream, no nothing, just gone, like he never existed. The rest of them panic. They're running through these tunnels, shouting each other's names, but it's like the sound just bounces off the walls and disappears. One guy stumbles, thinks he sees daylight up ahead, but it's a dead end. A broken light fixture flickering on and off, and when he turns around, that thing's standing right there, just watching him, almost like it's waiting for him to make a move before it, does what it does.
Hell no. Nope, this is where I'd be gone, no looking back.
One guy turns a corner, thinks he's found an exit sign in the distance, but when he gets close, and he realizes it's not an exit, it's just some old maintenance light, half covered in grime. This is the part where, out of sheer panic and chaos, they went different ways, and he never seen what happened to his friend. Only one of them make it out. He's covered in sweat, dirt, blood that's not even his, and he reached that boarded-up wall. He tears through it, roll out onto the active track, and he has to dive out of the way of a train at the last second. When he tried to tell anyone, the cops shrugged it off. Trespassing, they said. Maybe on something. But those who knew him, they swear he wasn't making it up. He wasn't the same after that. He was always terrified, and then he disappeared, just like that. His family says he left town, but you and I know when people get that deep into something they shouldn't, they don't just leave town, they get silenced. The city has a way of swallowing people whole, of making sure the wrong stories never get told. And you know what's really messed up?
No, what?
Some of those other explorers, the ones who heard about this story and thought they could crack it, they don't come back either. It's like that part of the tunnel's alive, like it moves, leading you in circles until you give up or something else finds you. I don't think it was just one creature. What if it's a whole colony down there, just waiting, hiding where no one would think to look? You gotta wonder how much of the city's darkness is man-made and how much of it's been there since the beginning, just biding its time, growing bolder.